So we're not What the Fridays anymore.
No.
We decided to change that after a little talk. We do a lot of I do a lot of rebranding, so that's going to be one of the things that we talk about today.
Yep. But it's part of the biz.
You know, you just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, do what you got to do.
What the Fridays just didn't really fit us, and we'll get into why soon enough, right after we roll the intro music.
Hey.
Warning, the following pre-recorded podcast will blow your mind. Broadcasting to Anchor, YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. Recorded in Cole's parents' basement. This is Small YouTube Channels Talk.
Gang, all right.
Right
Welcome
on.
back, everybody. My name is Cole James Anderson. Welcome to the Small YouTube Channels Talk podcast. I'm here with my co-host.
Jack Unruh is my name.
Welcome to the second episode of the podcast.
Thanks. I'm stoked to get into it. It's 11 in the morning on a Thursday.
And you know what? That's okay.
And I've never felt
groggy.
More in the podcasting
mood. You know, when you're tired, that's, almost, you can get better stuff out.
This is my caffeine.
That's right. This is my caffeine too.
Yeah.
Just working.
This is what juices me up.
I love it. Let's do it.
All right, let's get into it.
All right. So yeah, we're formally known as What the Fridays. We're also Small YouTube Channels Talk is now also available on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, and the Google Play Store.
Look at us go.
But it's free on everything. I mean, that's of
It's
course
free.
If you have Spotify, then it's free.
We just want you to listen, honestly.
Honestly, just please listen to
Yeah.
it. We do have a sponsor later in today's episode. Our sponsor is Anchor.
Yes.
Our first sponsor, episode 2. Give it
That's
up
awesome.
for Anchor, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, wow. Crazy week.
Oh my
We had
goodness.
a little conversation the beginning of the week, I want to say, about the name of the podcast and the logo, and we didn't want to misrepresent What the Fridays doesn't really WT Fridays. What the Friday that doesn't really like give anybody like
It's
full
just
frontal like what we're talking about.
right. It's like a good name. It's just not specific enough
exactly
to what we're doing.
like it's a great name if people already know you.
Right.
But no one knows us, or at least the whole world doesn't know us.
Exactly. So, like, basically the idea is that you hear from two small YouTube channels,
That's right.
and we'll be talking about our struggles in the film business and YouTube and everything like that.
Just everything. Wow. This is okay. So let's start from. Well, the logo, for one.
The logo.
The logo is great. Love the logo. I think I make pretty good logos.
The first logo or the second logo?
The first logo.
The Polaroid one?
Yeah, the Polaroid.
I thought it was cool too.
Yeah, it took, some nice inspiration for people who understood it.
Right.
It could be misconstrued as some other things. But
that's what I was concerned about for the other viewers too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course. I get that. And we don't want to misrepresent, we're not here talking about, we don't want someone to start listening and expect something and then get something else. Right. We want the right audience, and I don't want someone to come here expecting conversations about political stuff, because we will talk about that every once in a while, but it's not going to be the main focus every single time.
Right.
We're here to talk about YouTube and filmmaking and the wonderful joys of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's just, we rebrand. I've rebranded
in
many
essence,
times.
that is the purpose of rebranding, is because you want people to know what it's all about.
That's right.
And so sometimes you go through phases where you're doing one thing and it's going really well, but then you want to change things up and you can't keep that same format, and you have to let people know that. And so you have to change the way it looks, the way it feels,
That's right,
which is what we've both been doing lately. And why don't you go ahead and tell your thing?
Yes, sure. So I've rebranded many times. The Anderson Visuals YouTube channel was once upon a time called Pigwork.
Classic.
That was so old.
Yeah.
And then it was Timid Media, and then it was like there's this weird phase where it was called #WPF and Timid Media. And then I settled on Anderson Visuals, which honestly is the best thing I could have gone for. I've rebranded many a times, but you've only rebranded once?
I've only rebranded it. Okay, yeah, once actually.
I can really only count one time is when you changed Adventure Vlogs to Dorm Boomin'.
Right, because I mean, we've created multiple channels, but we've never entirely changed the channel name until...
You're super good at sticking to what you made and being super proud of it. I always made a decision and then it'd be like a week later, I'm like, I don't know about that, man.
Okay, but see, you've done the smart thing. In theory, I should have changed the cheese puffs 10 years ago because, first of all, no one can find it. Nobody knows how to spell it.
Oh, yeah.
And... it's just nobody's going to take that seriously. But I mean, at this point, it's just way too iconic to change. You know what I mean,
yeah, to the people who know it, yeah, it's way too iconic. But to like even still new people, they're like, what?
They're like, what is this?
Yeah. why are there two Z's? And
yeah, which is why we just create whole new channels.
You call it TCP. At least if people search TCP, they'll find it too, because I've started putting that in my tags.
Really?
So they'll find my channel, and then they'll eventually find your channel.
I didn't even know. Okay, yeah, I just started doing that. Because we're thinking, next upload for TCP is probably going to be a Christmas special that we want you in.
That's right. I'm super. Have you started writing a script for that?
Nope. I usually don't write scripts for the Cheese Puff skits.
Sure.
Them are kind of just, we have an idea, and then we just go film.
I forgot to start a stopwatch. But hopefully it hasn't been that long. We'll give it like an extra 5 minutes.
All right.
But little we're still getting used to this podcast thing, guys.
This is only a second episode. What do you want from us? Yeah.
Pretty solid intro done by Brandon Friesen. Give him a hand.
Yes.
Thank you, dude, for doing some fantastic voiceover work. Dude's got
killer vocals.
Oh yeah. I never thought that I had a radio voice, and I really don't think that I do, but I listened to this podcast when, like a couple days after it was out. I think we pull it off.
I think so too. Yeah, I think we sound pretty darn dang professional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I had this idea where the Halloween month is 31 days?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically I was thinking, you make a podcast, and up until October, you make 31 episodes, like spooky, related stuff.
Spooky stuff.
And then throughout the entire month of October, you release one podcast a day.
Ooh.
Isn't that slick?
That's very slick.
I think it'd be super fun. That'd be a lot of work,
what kind of
though.
like a story or like
urban myths. 1 week we could like go out and do something, and then we could, on the podcast, we talk about what happened.
Oh yeah.
And then there could even be YouTube videos related to it. So we'd be like, this week we did this, check out the YouTube video, that's what we're going to be talking about.
Right.
I think it'd be a cool idea.
I think so too. I think it's a really cool idea. That's something to think about.
I don't know if I have the manpower to pull it off, though.
Oh, we can do it. We got it easily.
But yeah, no, we get so off topic. So
we
I
do.
guess
Anyways.
that's okay. So rebranding.
We're YouTubers. What do you expect?
That's right. Do you regret rebranding? Do you regret not rebranding?
Okay, so in my rebranding experience, we had adventure vlogs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We thought that we were going to keep vlogging through college. Okay. Now, if that would have been the case, rebranding would have been the right call.
Right.
To Dorm Boomin'.
Right.
However, we literally dropped a single college vlog. Yeah. And that was my first day of college. And was it worth it to change the name and rebrand the entire thing from what was so classic? No.
Yeah, maybe not.
I don't think so.
I didn't really think about it. Well, Dorm Boomin' is a pretty solid name.
Yeah, it's all right, but...
And if you were uploading regularly, then yeah.
Right, but we don't upload regularly, which is the problem. But, I guess it makes sense that we're in college now, but still, Adventure Vlogs had its place, you know what I mean? It's so classic. And I kind of wish we would have kept the name. It was pretty classic. I do like that it's technically still Adventure Vlogs. It's just like season 2, right?
Even though is it season 2 because you're not uploading.
Exactly. Well, we're just on different projects now.
That's right.
Like this late night booming thing, and pretty much it's going to be going from late night booming right into Shoreline for us.
Yeah. It's gonna be hard. I mean, I'm basically doing the same thing.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna be balancing Late Night Booming while doing a short film, and then from the short film, I'm going into the feature
and a podcast,
and I'm balancing the podcast all at the same time, once a week.
Right.
Which isn't that bad.
Right, it's doable. It's
right,
totally
it's super
doable.
No, yeah, it's
well, as creators, we always get new ideas and we always want to try them, and you don't know it's a dumb idea until you do it
at all. No, that's right. You don't ever know.
I think changing it to Dorm Booming is like, okay, we tried rebranding. We know what it's all
sometimes about. It's a bad idea.
Sometimes you know it. And
Daddy ate my eyes. For those of you, you guys are never gonna know this. This is a project that I wanted to make, and I might still make it. It's just not gonna be called "Daddy Ate My Eyes" because I do think it'd be an interesting story.
It's a captivating title.
That is, but also Ed loves to make fun of it. And maybe that just, caused a little bit of, maybe I just thought about it a little bit too much because I do think now that it's like a pretty dumb title. I do think it catches the audience's attention. It really does. But it also sounds really stupid. It could be taken really seriously or not at all.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Have you ever had a project that, was 1860 Butthole Street maybe?
Like that was just, you think about it, but then you think about it some more, and it's just dumb.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the name was dumb from the start.
There's many things like that. Like for example, I wanted to do a whole series on. It was like, okay, so it takes place in a retirement home, so it's all old people.
Okay,
and one of them gets like a video camera. And they start trying to make like videos, and it's filmed like The Office. It's like shot in the style of The Office, and it's super funny. And basically, all the other old people are super annoyed at this guy because he's trying to like make videos, and nobody wants to be in the videos. And it's just the chemistry between the old people. And I still think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, that would be great. I think that'd be like a really funny like comedy movie.
Right.
I could see like an Adam Sandler type doing that sort of thing.
But okay, how many old people do we know that could film on a consistent basis?
I think if we were to do that, we'd have to just like dress up like old people.
Right. And honestly, that's what I was thinking. So some of these ideas, it's like you have a great concept, but then the more you think about how you can actually do execution, you realize like, and that's how a lot of our ideas get shot down.
Yeah, I mean, Demons. Well, and I'm still gonna make Demons someday, but Demons is definitely one of those projects where it's like, this is a great idea, and no doubt if we had $1 million, we'd be able to pull it off. But with what we're running right now, there's just no chance. It kind of sucks how like often small YouTube channels and filmmakers have ideas like this that we just can't execute because we're not, one, big enough, or two, have the budget.
Right. And it's not even the fact, like, some people would be like, oh, well, you gotta at least try it. But it's like, okay, well, if you want it to be good, like, we have to work with what we've got. We can't try to do something.
And we're doing that all the time.
And we are.
Yeah.
And we can't, this is just like in general, you can't, if you don't, obviously you need a budget to do certain things, and don't let that be an excuse to stop you from filming or anything like that. Like, there's so many things you can do, but some things you just need a budget for.
Yeah.
You know
I believe
what I mean?
in two mindsets, and they're extremely conflicting, which is extremely unfortunate. The one is the one is if you want to make something, go make it, right? We have freaking cameras in our pockets with our phones. There is nothing stopping us, but at the same time, if you want professional results, you need professional help, professional equipment, everything.
Exactly.
So yeah, we can go out and we can make an amazing short film with an iPhone, but we're not going to be able to pull off a quality project that's 2 hours long that has this grand storyline. Like, it's just it's unfortunate as it is.
It is, because there's just, to a certain extent, there's things you can and can't do, and obviously we always have to try to push what we can do.
Oh, and we
always do.
I've known, just looking at us, we've pushed way farther than we probably ever could have made it.
Yeah, and should have made it. And we did it just to do it.
And we were just doing it for fun, and we were like, wow, look at this.
Yeah.
600 seats sold out at a local theater. and that was, we weren't even trying. Well, we were trying, but we weren't trying like,
and honestly,
as hard as like it could have gone even freaking farther if we would have advertised it to the entire city.
And when you push past the point of what you can and maybe should be doing, that's where either the best or the worst results happen.
It's true, because
so you just have to do it and see what happens.
You work too hard, and you can sometimes lose sight of what you're actually trying to like figure out, right?
Right.
Because with the original Demons, that was me trying too hard, and then it ended up coming out like crap because I wasn't paying attention. I was paying attention too much on one thing and not everything. That's where being a detail-oriented person bites you in the butt, because I was focusing on story and not on how it should like flow, because the original first episode is complete garbage and it's all an exposition dump.
Well,
and I wasn't thinking about, well, how should you show that, which would have been the best option, but instead I just had a 6-minute scene where my character and Brock's character just sat down and talk about what happened instead of just showing what happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the problem with being small YouTube channel. Like, you think about this great big concept and you just get so much inspiration. You start writing and writing and writing, and pretty soon you figure out, I'm still a small
we don't
YouTube
have the
channel.
budget.
We don't have budget. How can we pull this off? But
sometimes you can.
Sometimes you can, if you just think, how can you pull it off and try to work around some things. But there's some parts that you can't. Some parts of the story that you can't like sacrifice,
right? Like
for like a cheap budget. You know what I mean?
Look at your slick triggers. Someone, by the way, listened to this podcast and got back to me and told me that some people don't know what slick trigger is. So we're gonna give a quick rundown.
Still, after the first episode.
Give me really quick. Give me a whole rundown of like you don't need to tell me. You don't need to tell them the story. Just like tell them what slick trigger is, what led to it.
Okay, so basically we made this YouTube series on the Cheese Puffs back in 2015.
2015.
Yep, and it was a 10-part series about this mob gang and the police station who needs to take down the mob gang, and it was pretty all right. Really good for what we did at the time.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah. And so come 2018 come 2017, late 2017, and I'm a junior in high school, and I decided to write a feature. Mm-hmm. And the inspiration for the feature was that series. So we just modified the characters. I modified the story and made it fit a full-length feature, and I finished that script right in the middle of junior year of high school, and decided to, hey, let's just film this movie.
You decided that you're just gonna do it, and then very conveniently it lined up. You needed a senior project.
Exactly, very conveniently. That was the time I would have needed. So when I finished the script, I knew that in about a year I would need a senior project to do. Yeah. So, gathered the gang, and we filmed Slick Trigger for 8 months.
8 months, because I would say 10 months, including the writing.
Right, okay. Yeah. So, yeah. And so we made this feature film, and we showed it in the West Mall 7.
Which is a local movie theater. Here in Sioux Falls. And,
we sold out 3 shows and showed this movie where there's these mob bosses, and so it was a absolutely huge project. 30 plus actors.
Way bigger than we overshot, honestly, and we still somehow made it work.
Yeah,
we worked ourselves to the bone.
It's on YouTube if you want to go see it on the Cheese Puffs.
That's right. Go check it out. YouTube.com/the Cheese Puffs. I think it still is.
Really? Do you have that URL?
I do think that you do have. If not, search the Cheese Puffs. TheCheezepuffz.
No spaces.
No spaces. It's all there. You got the full movie on there.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, look at that.
Yeah.
Back to what we were talking about. Look at that. That is an idea so far above us. And did we execute it? Yes. Did we execute it well? Yes.
At times.
For what we had.
Right.
Because we did not have, loads and loads and loads of equipment. Hi, Dusty. Sorry, my cat got in the way. We don't have like loads and loads. We don't have a 4K camera. We don't have like a really nice like boom pole. We don't have a really nice sound system. We didn't have lights. We didn't have any of that.
No.
We made it.
Yeah. Literally filming off a single camera and our buds from high school. Yeah. And that's it.
Shoots like low quality 1080.
Yeah.
Comparative to like
doesn't even have
stuff that was out at the time.
Not even on a DSLR camera.
No, it's not even a DSLR.
It literally doesn't even have a mic input. We're filming with Cole's makeshift boom mic, which is a paint pole with a
painter's pole with a microphone attached
taped
like
to the end of it.
To the end of it.
Yeah, and so you got to do what you got to do. Honestly,
if you go and watch that movie, you're gonna have one of two reactions. You're gonna be like, "Wow, this is complete garbage," or two, "Holy crap, this is actually kind of good."
Like when you take into account everything that had to be done
right.
when 17 years old making this.
Well, and people are gonna look at that and be like, "Well, this 17-year-old has made that better than that." You got to keep in mind. If we had the equipment to properly make this, I'm sure we would have executed it a lot better. But since we also didn't have the proper schedule, we were rarely free to shoot, and we also didn't have crap for equipment.
Right.
For what there is now, it's decent. If me and you now took 3 months and we didn't do anything but shoot a feature and everyone was dedicated and we had the proper amount of equipment, it's gonna be freaking fantastic.
Which is what's happening this summer.
Which is exactly what's happening this summer.
For 2 movies.
That's right.
I'm so stoked for next fall.
Dude,
next fall is gonna be big.
Dude, okay, but yeah, no, you gotta really, if you want to make something that's good, really give yourself a lot of opportunity to make it good. Give yourself a free schedule. Give yourself, save up some money.
Planning.
Get some good equipment. Plan.
That's a big part of it.
It's huge.
Because honestly, the hardest part about filming anything when you don't have a budget and you're not paying people is schedules. That is literally the biggest problem of all times ever. It's not the equipment. It's not what you can and can't do. It's people's schedules and seeing when people can film.
Yeah, because 98% of the time it's, hey man, you wanna come, shoot with us? And they're like, yeah, sure. 3 hours later, hey man, we're on set. Where are you? They either then tell you that they're not available, that something came up, or 2 leave you on red. Because
when you're not getting paid, what's the motivation?
Right.
You gotta love what you do.
That's and I think we've avoided that. We've avoided that with most people who actually, if someone actually ends up showing up on set, we have a 99% chance of making their experience really good, and then they'll come back.
Right.
Because if you can make someone on set be happy that they're there, we'll feed them, we'll make them feel at home, we won't stress them out. We're just having fun. Exactly. Then they'll be like, yeah, this is a fun experience. I want to do this again. And that's what you want to instill in everybody. Granted, you don't want to just like, you don't want to just freaking drop everything and be like, Willy Wonka and freaking just throwing crap around. And
right.
You don't want to just lose a lot of responsibility. You still want to be professional. Like you shouldn't be, if someone's not happy and you can't please them and you're doing everything you can, don't push.
Right.
Because they're just a lost cause. Because you still got to be professional about it, Like you could be like, hey man, yeah, you're chatting, but if you got to go shoot a scene really quick, you can't just be like, oh, well, I got to make sure this. No, go shoot your scene. This is still like a set.
Right.
You got to give off a professional vibe, but a fun one nonetheless.
Exactly. It's got to get business done, having a good time doing it.
That's right. But business first.
Exactly.
Fun second. Fun's still important. That's why it's second.
Yeah. And so you can learn things from your experiences. Like like Slick Trigger, obviously. So in high school with all the high school buds, now everyone's off at college because it's a year later, and
That's right. Yeah.
I'm now a freshman in college, and all my buds are at different colleges. So
You have new buds now, though.
we have new buds now, but they're not all from around here,
Unfortunately.
and so we have to adapt to the situation. And so for this new film next summer, I absolutely minimalized characters. There's a total for the main part of the movie. There's 2 characters the whole movie.
Yeah, no, well, and that's the best part, because then you're not relying on other people. The only other time you're going to need characters is, special days when you can just like offhand, hey, we're going to need you for one day. That's it. And the other people that the 2 main characters is going to be you, which your own schedule. That's going to be easy.
Yeah.
Finding another person that's reliable shouldn't be too hard. It's one person.
Right. And that's the reason I do cast myself, is like, when you're not paying people, you're the one that wants to do it most. And so I'm the most available to myself. So it's easy like that. And then just find one other person and call it good.
Yeah, I'm trying to do something similar, but I don't want to cast myself. I do think I'm a decent actor, but I also, with my first feature, Jack is talking about his second feature right now,
right.
Shoreline, which starts shooting sometime in the summer. I'm making my first feature. Haven't released any of the names or anything, except for the short film name, and I think we even talked about the feature length film name in the last podcast. I can't remember if we did, so I'm just not going to talk about the feature film's title, because anyways, I'm stuttering too much. I'm trying to really build my experience, and I think the best way for me to do that is to stay behind the camera. So instead of getting, because if I would have shot Demons, I would have needed a lot of people. And that was one of the reasons why I decided to cancel it and postpone it. So with this film, instead of having a bunch of people that might not be super reliable, I'm going to get 5 to 6 that will be reliable, and those are the only people that I'm really going to need. And then every once in a while, I'll need a couple offhand extras.
Right.
But those will be easy to cast.
Right.
Because that's just like, hey, grab a couple friends. I'm going to need you for a couple hours. Hey, thanks. We'll get your name in the credits. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with these 6 people, I expect them to be super dedicated to their roles, show up on set, and if something does happen, they can still be professional about it, because I'm going to cast people that I trust. And I already have 3 or 4 casted, and these are people that I have an immense amount of trust in. So, and what you're doing, I completely understand. If I was more in your position, I'd be doing that too.
Right.
But I'm trying not to. I'm going to give myself a cameo. That's it.
Yeah.
You're going to act in your entire film.
Right.
You're John Krasinski. And like with this new film, like obviously there's not as many locations, is not as complex as Slick Trigger. So I think we can knock Shoreline out in a matter of months. Oh yeah, easy.
Maybe 2 months.
Yeah. I mean, if we find even just a week where we can just 1 week straight,
we plan it out. We got to plan the whole thing out.
Right. We could get a lot done in 1 week.
Oh, absolutely.
If we have nothing else planned, take off some work.
Absolutely.
It'd be solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited. It's going to be really fun. You guys should, if you're a filmmaker and if you're a budding filmmaker and you want to make a film, even a short film, you should do it. You get a lot of experience. It's really awesome.
It's awesome.
We're going to break for an ad really quick. We will be right back. Thank you for listening to the Small YouTube Channels Thank you for listening to the Small YouTube Channels Talk podcast. We'll be right back after this ad break. Jack, have you ever wanted to make a podcast?
Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Well, I have something for you, because now you can. Anchor
Really?
is a free tool that lets you record, edit, and distribute your podcast from a phone or computer. It's the perfect all-in-one tool for podcast production. Let me tell you straight up. All right. This is what we're using. It's fantastic. Jack doesn't know anything about this podcast because he's just the co-host, and I'm dealing with everything behind it, all the behind the scenes. But let me tell you, if you're starting a podcast, this is seriously the tool for you. It will make it easy to get sponsored for your podcast with no minimum listenership. This is our second podcast. And we already have a sponsor. It's awesome.
It's booming.
Anchor will also help you distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Easy. Seriously, guys, if you want to make a podcast and you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know how to make a podcast, I don't have that type of equipment, it's not hard. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. You can record the podcast on your phone. You can record the podcast on your laptop, on your computer. It's so simple. That's the Anchor app or anchor.fm, anchor.fm. Guys, please check it out. It's our first sponsor. They're doing wonderful, and they're helping us make this podcast.
You know, I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes of this podcast because Cole's doing it all, but he hasn't punched a hole through his computer yet.
All right, back to the podcast. Okay,
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that, guys. You gotta throw a quick ad break in there every once in a while.
You gotta love the ads, though. It keeps you guessing. You never know when one's gonna pop up. You just never know.
So we talked about some YouTube stuff. We got into some really weird fields. We were just gonna talk about rebranding today.
We laughed. We cried.
We laughed.
We pooped.
Whoa. Did we really?
Oh.
Kinky.
Kinky.
But today, cut that out. Reminder to myself to cut it out. For the next half segment of the podcast, we're going to talk about some stuff that's actually pretty kind of blowing up in the news right now. There's this new movie coming out soon called Richard Jewell. If you guys don't know, it's about this guy. He was I want to say like a security member at an Olympics event.
Yep.
In like 1996 or something like that.
Yep.
Again, these aren't facts. I'm not a journalist. I'm not I'm not smart.
You get the idea of what happened.
So basically what happened is he saved a bunch of people's lives by noticing that this bag was here and it had a bomb in it. And he basically fled a bunch of people. I want to say one person died and 100 people got injured, but it would have been a lot worse if he wouldn't have found it.
Mm-hmm.
And when this happened, the media treated it as if he was the one who planted the bomb.
Yes.
Which
they framed him.
And this is what we're going to talk about, because media can unfortunately ruin legacies. Like, it can ruin people.
It can.
In an instant.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, in this case, art can kind of, show that again, and, show that, these people were wrong, and this guy or this girl weren't a bad person. So basically there was this article done a couple years ago called like The Ballad of Richard Jewell that brought this all back into the spotlight and even sparked Clint Eastwood into making this film. And basically just telling the story of how he was accused of all this, and he sued these newspapers for all kinds of like defamation lawsuits, and who wouldn't, right? Because there's a scene in the trailer where Olivia Wilde's character says, I just report the facts. And that's true and it's false at the same time, right?
Right.
Because one, it's the fact, it is true that the FBI was looking into him, but but reporting that creates a bias, right?
Yes.
So now more people, now that they know that, they're going to think that he is possibly the one who did it.
Yes.
This is just such a frustrating situation. We're trying not to get political, but have you ever seen something where, someone was completely tainted by something happening, whether it be, a news story or some sort of physical event that happened, and like a film or like a song or something kind of bringing their memory back into the light in a positive manner? Other than this film?
So a positive way of media
Of like remembering someone that was
someone?
originally like thought of like a bad guy, sort of.
Oh,
And of course they weren't a bad guy, but yeah.
right. Not in recent memory.
Okay. Well, actually, this isn't related exactly to like reality. Like this isn't something that has happened, but it kind of relates to the movie that you're making. And we're not going to spoil anything, but let's just say that we have seen plenty of films that where it looks like this guy is the bad guy, and then switch at the end, and he was actually the good guy the entire time, right?
Right.
And basically that's what we're trying to talk about, right? Because there have been a couple times where the media reported something like there was I think there was like a bombing at like a race, Boston Marathon. Boston bombing. Originally, after that happened, they thought that this guy had done it. And then about a day later, they found out that his brother was the one that did it.
Yeah.
So for a whole day, this dude was a bomb suspect.
Yeah.
And he didn't do crap. And now it's basically kind of a similar thing with Richard Jewell, but of course, it's not like his brother was like the bomb suspect or something, or like the person who actually did it. This is a straight up innocent guy who saved people's lives.
Right. Or, I guess, Jesus.
What if he did do it? No, I'm sorry. What do you say?
Jesus.
Classic.
Did
Everybody
nothing
hated
wrong.
Jesus.
Yeah, he did nothing wrong.
And all he was trying to do was look out for everyone.
Right, and they killed him.
They executed him.
They executed him. And
what's the term?
Crucified
him, yes.
Yeah. And so that's a classic example.
Whether you're religious or not, you have to, okay, for us religious people, for us Christians, Catholics, yes, Jesus was fantastic. Even if you're not religious, he did exist. Jesus of Nazareth is what he's called in like the history books.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a bad person.
No.
He didn't do anything
Literally
wrong.
Did nothing.
He didn't do anything wrong.
Couldn't find anything wrong against
the guy just
him.
wanted to kill him.
And they were jealous of him, and so they killed him.
Classic
That's
story.
a classic example.
Yeah, that's honestly as far back as we can go.
Right.
But
this kind of thing has happened since the beginning of time.
The dawn of man.
Right.
Basically. Would you ever make a film similar to this one? Kind of like a redemption arc sort of for a person?
Yeah, I would.
Like for a real person?
Like a historical event?
Yeah, like Clint Eastwood is in this movie?
I guess like real events aren't really my thing, but I would do it.
Sure.
I would.
Like,
if I found something that really interested me.
Have you ever seen Passion of the Christ?
That was next up on my watch list.
Do you see yourself as a filmmaker ever getting to the point of possibly making a film like that? Because that had a huge cultural impact.
Right.
A lot of people hated it, and a lot of people loved it.
Yeah.
And I've seen it before, and without any bias, it's a really good film.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you'd ever make something with that sort of religious significance, though?
Yeah,
or even just significance, period?
I've always wanted to make like a series on the different stories of the Bible, and like it'd be very, very cinematic, but very like
real takes on them too.
Yeah, like puts it into perspective. Like this is actually what this, because we've all heard the stories of the Bible, and sometimes they can like get old to us, And so I've always wanted to make like a real, like really gritty, like film about series. It'd be like a series about different things that happen in the Bible that would really like put an impact and make you remember the stories.
Thinking about that, and this is an interesting idea. We're not listen, we are kind of religious people, and this is not something we're going to talk about often. I don't want to scare any of you guys off if you're atheists. We support all kinds of people. Please join the podcast. Listen, we need your support. By the way, if you go to anchor.fm/SSYTCT, you can support this podcast for $1, $5, or even $10 a month. We would appreciate it. I'm going to get that plug in there really fast. Thank you guys so much for listening. By the way, this is not the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
But no, there are a lot of metaphors in the Bible with these stories. And like, for example, let's go with Joseph got eaten by a whale.
Jonah
got eaten by a whale.
Yep.
And, he, was in there for a real long time, and he had a real struggle.
Right.
All right. That's not possible. But I do think it's a metaphor. I could see myself taking that as a metaphor of like someone who fell into deep like bankruptcy or like homelessness, and basically them going into like the slums and having to deal with the worst time of their life as getting swallowed by a whale, right? Because they are swallowed by depression and financial ruin. Like I could see that sort of being like a similar way of interpreting it. Because when I imagine, when I hear that story, people take it way too seriously. I think personally, because I don't think it's about someone actually getting swallowed by a whale. I think of that as just a big metaphor for experiencing the worst time of your life.
So this actually leads into something. So like, little differing opinions here. Like,
sure.
Okay, so like I actually think it did happen.
Okay.
Like,
you're stupid. No.
Get off the podcast. So like, okay, but like I think going off of what you said about metaphors is, I also had an idea, and I don't want to be. It's just an idea, okay?
Sure.
Not because like I'm a very big Christian and stuff, and I want to be very careful about how I go about presenting the Bible. But I had an idea of, and I don't know if this would be sacrilegious or anything like that. What if there was a series where it was like the stories of the Bible modernized, like,
yeah.
But it's like the exact story from the Bible, just like you said, a metaphor. Like, there's a story about this guy who goes and stabs this big king and assassinates him in the Bible. And I was thinking, like, what if it's like a hitman who goes and shoots some guy? Like, just like a modern take on the story, something that people can.
I think that'd be a really interesting. I think that'd be great, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just obviously when you're doing anything with the Bible, it's God's word, so you got to be very, very careful about how you present it. But
at the same time, though, it's kind of like a. I'd say as like it passes, because we're going back to this redemption arc that we were talking about with this Richard Jewell thing. I don't think you'd be messing with the original subject. You're kind of putting it in a new light, right? Because Richard Jewell, for one, people thought that he blew up this event and that he wanted to kill all these people and all this stuff happened. Mm-hmm. But he was a good guy. And with the Bible, not many people are kind of reading the Bible because the New Testament, the Old Testament, no one wants to read the Bible. And even if you do, you kind of have to push yourself to do it. It's a big book, unless you like reading. Listen, I like to listen to if it could be told to me in film, even better. And there's going to be some inaccuracies there. But even if you told it modern, that's like a new take, and it's kind of like you could push a whole new generation of people towards that material, right? That could give someone interest to actually reading the Bible and learning more about it.
Yeah, and so and you're absolutely right. Like, I think that it's definitely something to think about, and because it's not something that a lot of people do is just sit down and read the Bible. And personally, I think it's one of the most important things you can do, and I even struggle with it. And I think that'd be something really cool because there's a lot of really, really good lessons and good content in the Bible. And I think that's a great source of that. I don't know. It's just something to think about, just an idea.
And even if you're not religious, there have been plenty of filmmakers who weren't particularly religious, who had a lot of Christ type imagery in their films. If you want to find something that could be, similar to a Bible in terms of metaphor and philosophies, plenty of people, Sun Tzu, I think it is, wrote like The Art of War. Great book on philosophy. You could pull plenty of story ideas from that. We're talking just like you could even get story ideas from reading Harry Potter.
Right.
And it's just really about in terms of interpreting it, because there are some people, some extremists on both sides of the political spectrum, who see something in the Bible and they believe one thing when it's supposed to be interpreted in many different ways. Right? There are, unfortunate as it is, there are left side extremists and right side extremists who have seen things in the Bible and thought it meant, okay, go kill this person because they're not supposed. But that's not what we're trying.
Right.
That's not what we're trying to talk about.
Yeah.
What this is all supposed to be like a moral compass sort of thing. Slick Trigger is a great example of a person who has a strict moral compass and someone whose moral compass fluctuates. Everybody's moral compass fluctuates. No one's moral compass is straight. And if you meet that person, they're lying to you.
Right.
Because
there's something wrong.
Every single person, you can't just be born and not know what to do. Everyone cries over spilt milk.
Right.
At some point in their life.
Whoa, you just gave me an idea. But yeah, back to the whole interpretation thing. The Dark Knight. I personally see it as a movie of, Batman always takes hits for other people. He's always sacrificing himself, standing up for other people. Some people see it as Batman's actually the bad guy and the Joker's the good guy. It's all about the concept.
I saw a theory. There's a theory that the Joker was actually trying to save the city, which is an amazing way of interpreting it.
Right.
Because if you can interpret something different than someone else, you have a big brain. Because everything can be interpreted as anything. Going back to this Richard Jewell thing that we're talking about, going back to it again.
Richard Jewell.
There are people who saw this, who they haven't even seen this movie, and they're calling it the most trumpety movie ever. What kind of an age do we live in where you can call something as an adjective of like who's currently like a world leader? Isn't that kind of insane? And how hearing that, you almost kind of instinctively have a stereotype of what you think that person thinks it's like?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy because there are people that are shamming on this movie, but this movie is about redeeming someone who was put in the spotlight.
Not only
unfortunately, by the media. And now the media is like, well, this movie's bad. And it's like, what? You're doing it again. Do you realize that you're doing it again?
And not only that, but they haven't even seen the movie.
Exactly. It hasn't even come out yet.
They have no idea what it's going to be like.
The few people that have seen it, they can't talk about it because it was a test screening.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I just think that people want, I heard a quote. I don't know who said it, but they said the problem is that everybody wants to have an opinion on everything. Yeah. But the people that have the most opinions are the people that know nothing about it.
That's true.
And the more opinions they have, the louder they are.
And when the Joker was about to come out, there was this big deal about okay, so let's reel it back a little bit. Dark Knight came out. Heath Ledger's Joker, fantastic performance. It unfortunately inspired someone to get into this extremist mindset. 6 years later, when The Dark Knight Rises came out, there was a shooting in Aurora, Colorado, at a movie theater at a Dark Knight Rises premiere. This guy was super screwed up, okay? And he saw himself in the Joker, which no one's supposed to see yourself in the Joker. That's the whole point of the Joker, is that he's the extreme opposite of any man. Right. Like any man who actually has a moral compass. So him doing this was extremely foolish, of course, both physically and like philosophically.
Right.
Like you're just stupid if you think that the Joker is like actually like a cool person. Yeah. Because that's not the point of the Joker. Anyways, this new Joker film comes out. or it's about to come out, and the Aurora shooter survivors write a message asking that it not be played. Even though the film is literally about, hey, here's this person who was screwed by everyone and everything in his life, and we want you to understand why he did this, but we don't want you to condone it. That's literally what the Joker film is about, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Because it teaches a lot about like what happens when you abandon mental illness and just people in general.
They are very careful in the movie to make the Joker someone that you don't want to relate with.
Right.
You sympathize with him.
You do,
but you don't want.
You don't want to be him.
No, and I think they do a really good job of that. You know.
I agree, and that's and they were super scared that another shooting's going to happen. There wasn't a single shooting.
There was a machete fight at Frozen 2.
There was a machete. There was more real world violence at a Frozen 2 premiere than there was at any Joker premiere.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Which I think sends a big message.
It does.
I think that people get worked up over things that don't need to be worked up on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's just super unfortunate because I think that people are really stupid.
Yeah.
Because Joker is now the highest rated R-rated movie of all time, made over $1 billion. There was never a shooting because the Joker wasn't about inspiring that. It was about throwing that perception into the water.
Right.
Throwing that under the bus.
Yeah.
Basically saying, it's like classic Taxi Driver. It's always why we look for a motive in criminals, because we want to understand why they did it, even if we don't condone it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's just such a rich subject that we could talk about for hours.
Yeah,
we could honestly talk about that for hours.
We could make the rest of the podcast about this.
Right, but it's kind of down. It's a downer. We didn't mean to make you guys.
If you're crying,
we're sorry.
Apologize.
If you're having any flashbacks, not what we meant to do.
No.
We are deeply sorry.
Our deepest sympathies. You can support us on anchor.com.
It's anchor.fm. /SSYTCT.
Yes.
That's right.
Make sure to drop $10 in there.
Yep. Support $10 a month, guys. That's all it is.
Yep.
Even if it's $1, it helps us.
It helps us.
Help
us help you.
That's right. It's an 80-20 split. I get 80%. Jack is 20%. But no. It's seriously, guys, we're having so much fun.
This is awesome. We love the podcast life.
Yeah, we're living it.
We're owning the podcast life.
We're owning it.
Yes.
Wow. This has been really crazy. Before we close it off, because I want to see how much longer we can make this. How has your week been? Do you have any projects that you're working on? How have finals been? Give me a rundown of what has happened in the last week.
In the last week in the life of Jack? Well, yesterday I grinded out, was it the last 4 videos of episode 1 of Late Night Boomin'.
Yeah, I did see that. Yep. I posted them all to the Facebook page.
That's right.
Been keeping on top of it.
That's right. Cole runs our social medias for Late Night Boomin', which is awesome because I can't do that. So yeah, it's been going really well. I'm just very relieved that I got those out, got finals done, and I felt so good that last night when I got home from work, I wrote like 3 more pages of the Shoreline script.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you. Getting a lot done.
Yeah.
I've been working really hard on the Slick Chicker behind the scenes documentary.
That's
to get it done. And I reached a point yesterday where I am going to get it done soon, but it's not going to be ready this Friday. And this Friday was originally the plan that the cast was going to get together. We're like a small cast, it's just like me, Jack, and Dylan and Ed. We're gonna get together.
Of the 50 people, or 5 of the 50 people that were in the movie.
That's right. We're gonna get us together. We're gonna have some pizza. We're gonna watch it, but it's not gonna be ready by Friday.
Next Friday.
I'm trying to take my time, make it quality. So we're gonna do it next Friday. However, it is going to be up on Christmas. This is still guaranteed.
We're stoked.
We're also going to do a commentary track. I decided we're not going to do a commentary track as 1 week of the podcast. We're just going to upload that the same day as just like a separate thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going to be.
We're so stoked that these. You guys, be sure to keep an eye out on. Is it coming on Anderson Visuals or
Anderson Visuals? Yeah.
So be sure to keep an eye out on Anderson Visuals. It looks so good, you guys. Watch the movie, then watch this behind the scenes. You're gonna love it.
And then watch the commentary track.
Yes, and then watch the commentary.
It'll be out the same day as the behind the scenes.
We're stoked. It's gonna be awesome.
We might, depending on Jack's schedule, we might actually finish this podcast and then do the commentary track really quick. But we'll see, because I don't.
Wait, what did you say?
You weren't paying attention.
No,
You're like,
no.
we might record the commentary track after this podcast, after we start doing this podcast, which we're recording on the Thursday, the day before that it goes out. So it'll be going out tomorrow.
So yesterday we were filming this podcast.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, yesterday. You're listening. Yeah. Basically. We hope you guys have a fantastic weekend.
Stay out of trouble.
Support us. You can send us voice messages on, again, anchor.fm/SSYTCT. And we can respond to them, send us questions, ask us about topics to talk
that'd
about.
be a good segment. Questions from other.
I think that'd be fun. Yeah. So if you're listening, definitely do that. You can also go to that same link, anchor.fm/SSYTCT, to get all the links of where it's available.
Whatever you're listening to on, if you're
Apple Podcasts,
right,
Google Play.
If you're listening on YouTube, drop a comment in there. We can answer that. Wherever you're listening it to, just
to figure something out. If you're listening to this on the Apple Podcasts, we please ask you that you leave a nice review. Rate us 5 stars.
Please.
We work so hard. Not really.
But do it anyways.
Well, we would seriously appreciate if you guys did that. I've had a fantastic week getting this up on everything. We're sorry that we changed the name on you last week.
But you guys will be just fine.
That's right. We are not What the Fridays. We are
Small YouTube channels talk.
Thank you guys so much for listening to episode 2 of this podcast. We will see you next week.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Small YouTube Channels Talk podcast with Cole James Anderson and Jack Unruh. And don't forget, new episodes every Friday.